Hey guys, this is Chris Brigandy and welcome to another edition of Brigandy TV. Today I want to talk to you about an interesting little sect, well not so little anymore, a sect of the hobby that has grown, especially in the last 5 to 10 years. The market on original Type 1 photos has absolutely exploded. It's still new, you could still get some really great deals, but photos which were once thought as an accessory to a collection are now really becoming mainstays and large parts of collections, certainly selling into well of hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. So I have a few here. I really want to talk about this Mickey Mantle one, but again, a Type 1 photo. These are Type 1 photos from the original photographer. So what is a Type 1 photo real quick? A Type 1 photo is an original photo from the time and developed at the time. So it's from the original negative, usually by the photographer, and at the time when these are done, many aren't produced. So, for example, this Mantle one here, it was done by Ulrich Sparlin. He was the photographer at the time, and he produced that, and he probably produced maybe a couple, maybe 10. You don't really know. What you know today is that there's only a few of these known. I've only actually seen one other. Doesn't mean there's not a couple other out there, maybe, but maybe not. So they're really rare. And so let's go right to this Mantle one real quick. So you'll notice immediately he's not in uniform. He's in another uniform though. So Mantle in 1950, he's about 18 years old, and he's actually playing for the Joplin Miners baseball team, but he's also working on the side for the Eagle Picher Mining. So Mickey Mantle's father, who he absolutely adored, you could read several stories about how Mantle idolized his father. So his father was a miner, and living in the South playing baseball, he thought he was going to become a miner. Outside chance he was going to become a professional player, although his youth he was an all-star and all that. So at the time he's doing both. He's playing baseball and he's mining lead at the local mine. So what's cool about this is absolutely you want Mickey Mantle in uniform when you're collecting, but Mickey Mantle collectors especially, this tells a story. So this is pre-rookie, because he was rookie in 1951, so 1950. It just tells a great story. And a little side note is, if you've done or seen any documentaries on Mickey Mantle, so he was called up in 1951, and he was supposed to be the next big stud. He was given number 6. We know Mantle is number 7, but he was given number 6 early in 1951, and that's because Casey Stengel and everybody thought he was going to be the next big Yankee. So number 3 is Babe Ruth, number 4 is Lou Gehrig, number 5 Joe DiMaggio, number 6 was going to be Mickey Mantle. By May, he wasn't panning out, unfortunately, so they sent him down to the minor leagues again, this time to Kansas City. And in Kansas City, he's not doing well either there. So he calls his dad. He says, "Dad, I'm not going to make it." His dad comes to Kansas City, walks into his room, starts packing his bags, and says to his son, "I thought I raised a man. Come back to the coals, and we're gonna mine for the rest of our lives." Mickey stops him, goes back to playing baseball, turns it around immediately, makes it back to the Yankees. This time he's given number 7. And the rest is history. Mickey Mantle, number 7, 1951 World Series. And then in 1952, he took over for the great Joe DiMaggio in center field. So that's the background of the story. Certainly there's Mickey Mantle collectors out there that probably know every word and more of what I just said. So let's go straight to the photo now. So it's an 8x10 photo. Again, it's a Type 1 photo, produced and developed at the time. I'm going to flip it over here. Actually, if you want to go a little closer, I don't know how clear we can get, but very clear photo. It's hard to tell you or hard to see the stock of the paper, but it's a thicker stock. You can certainly feel it. So it's stamped, again, Ulrich Sparlin. He was the local photographer. He did all these Mantle photographs of Mantle for the Joplin Yankees, and then also, or the Joplin Miners, and then also all these mining photographs. And I Googled him a little bit, and he has tens or maybe even hundreds of thousands of photos. He was the local photographer for the newspaper, covering everything from sports to lead mining. So the stamps are right on as they should be. Flip that back over. So it's PSA Type 1 here, and they list out all the facts on the photo there. So Type 1, original photo, Ulrich, 1950, Mickey Mantle, and then the size. So very important, always have authentication on these type 2 and type 3 photos. If you're not an expert, you can be fooled very easily, but because type 1s are where the value is, and there's big discrepancies in prices over that. I always tell you on anything, whether it's memorabilia, whether it's a baseball card, or now if it's an original photo, whenever you buy anything, always, obviously authentication, certification is way important, but it's got to make sense to you. Sometimes, obviously, if it's too good to be true, it is. But something really important is don't just fall for stories. Even if they have certification, people always add on stories, and never buy anything for the story alone. So I'm going to add a little story in here now that I've told you everything about this. So the backstory is that this actually hung in Mickey Mantle's Holiday Inn in Joplin. So he opened up a hotel. He had a business partner in the mid and early 50s. They opened up the Mickey Mantle Holiday Inn in Joplin, Missouri, and this supposedly hung there. Now, when I tell people that story, I always say it the way I phrased it, because you don't want to buy it on the fact that it's a story, because it sounds too good. So make sure everything else is in place first, and then any story like that is ancillary. Nonetheless, it's a great story, and certainly a great piece. So Type 1 photos are really hot right now. They've exploded in price, and I think they're going to continue to explode because it's just coming out to the main or more of the public that are collecting these. You can buy incredible photographs right now, Type 1 photographs, for a few $1,000s. And when you compare them to baseball cards or even autographs or anything that you think is rare, these are way more scarce. Like I said, there's only 2 of these photos known today. When you start getting to rookie card photos, sometimes there's only 1 known. And when you look at like a Mickey Mantle baseball card that just sold for almost $3 million, and you say, okay, but there's, I think, 7 of those in existence, or 9 of those in existence, and that's worth 2.88. So you compare it to photos, which are just as rare from the period as well, and they're works of art, and they're larger too than baseball cards. Certainly you can make a case that they deserve the same amount of attention, or at least a larger fraction that they're getting today. So this is actually moving on to a new home, a collector who understands and appreciates original photographs. He's really on the ground floor of this, and you can make a lot of money if you know what you're doing. So if you have any questions about original photos, feel free to shoot me an email, give me a call, anything. I'd love to help you. Thanks for watching another edition of Brigandy TV. I'm Chris Brigandy.